The moon hung like a pale lantern in the midnight sky, casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance to an otherworldly tune. Edgar Blackwood, the acclaimed horror author, found himself lost in thought. As he stared out of his study window, seeking inspiration for his next spine-chilling masterpiece. His jet-black hair and piercing eyes gave him an air of mystery that matched his reputation. Edgar's fingers tapped restlessly on the keyboard, struggling to find the right words. Suddenly, the floorboards creaked behind him. He swiveled around to find his long-dead muse, Lenora, standing there with an unsettling grin.
Lenora, you're supposed to be, well, dead?
Edgar stammered, his heart doing a wild drum solo in his chest. He came to realize, in that moment, that the faintly glowing form of Lenora was no longer solid. He could discern the delicate outline of his bookshelf through her ethereal presence.
"Oh, death can't keep a good muse away,"
she cooed, her voice dripping with gentle humor.
"I felt you were stuck, darling. Need some help?"
Edgar chuckled nervously.
Surely, you jest.
She replied, her grin widening.
"Dead serious."
Lenora settled herself on the edge of Edgar's desk, her phantom feet dangling above the floor.
"Tell you what, Edgar. I've got a story for you. How about a cursed painting that brings nightmares to life?"
Edgar raised an eyebrow.
A painting? Cliché, don't you think?
Lenora's eyes sparkled with mischief.
"Ah, but this painting, it's of a clown. A clown with a grin that never fades, even as it devours your fears."
Edgar's curiosity was piqued.
Go on.
Lenora began her tale, her voice as enchanting as a siren's song.
In the eerie enclave they called Grimhaven, where even the sun seemed to cast a side eye at noon, an eccentric artist named Jasper Blackthorne created a painting. His twisted fixation on capturing the raw human emotions drove him down a shadowy path, concocting a malevolent brew of paint, blood, and the ashes of those victims, unfortunate enough to cross his path.
Edgar leaned in, captivated.
Victims?
Of course. Jasper believed that true emotion could only be captured if it was first experienced at the brink of death.
Edgar's fingers danced over the keyboard as he typed furiously.
In the painting's power?
Lenora whispered, her voice dripping with delicious terror.
Legend has it that anyone who gazes into the clown's eyes will be haunted by their deepest fears, brought to life by the cursed canvas. And the clown's grin, oh, they say it grows wider with each victim.
As the story unfolded, Edgar's fingers struggled to keep up with his racing imagination. He envisioned his protagonist, a skeptical art collector named Maxwell, stumbling upon the cursed painting at an auction. The dialogue between Maxwell and the auctioneer crackled with tension.
A piece of advice, sir.
The auctioneer warned.
Never look the clown in the eye.
Maxwell smirked.
I've seen scarier things at a children's birthday party.
But when Maxwell took the painting home, he found himself plagued by nightmarish visions. The ghastly grin of the artwork seemed to taunt him, morphing into an unthinkable width every time he dared to blink. Edgar's words painted a vivid scene as Maxwell's life spiraled into chaos. He confronted the clown in a fit of rage, shouting,
"You can't scare me! You devilish dog!"
The clown's grin grew even larger, and a gust of wind extinguished the room's lights. When they flickered back to life, Maxwell found himself face to face with a nightmarish circus. Demonic clowns leered from every corner, and an insane-looking ringmaster beckoned him to join the twisted performance. Edgar's hands trembled with excitement as he described Maxwell's frantic escape from the nightmarish carnival. Maxwell was cornered by the clown, its grin now stretching ear to ear, exposing rows of jagged teeth.
"I'm not afraid of you!"
Maxwell cried, brandishing a shard of shattered mirror. The clown's laughter echoed through the dark, followed by a bone-chilling whisper.
"But are you afraid of yourself?"
The story reached its climax as Maxwell realized that the only way to defeat the clown was to embrace his own fears. With a triumphant roar, he shattered the cursed canvas, ending the nightmare once and for all. Edgar's fingers finally came to a halt. The tale was almost complete, a macabre masterpiece that blended his trademark horror and his dark sense of humor seamlessly. He looked up at Lenora, who was grinning wider than ever.
Impressive, isn't it?
Edgar nodded, his heart pounding with satisfaction.
I've never written anything quite like this before.
Lenora stood and stepped towards him, her ghostly fingers trailing along his shoulder.
Oh, Edgar, it's the darkest corners of the human psyche that often hold the most captivating stories.
And with that, she faded away, leaving Edgar alone in his study, ready to finish his ghoulish creation and share it with the world. The night wore on, and Edgar Blackwood had grown tired from the feverish typing. As the last keystrokes echoed in the silence of his study, Edgar couldn't help but shiver. He knew he had conjured something truly twisted and utterly enthralling. With a satisfied grin, he saved the story, already envisioning the reactions of his readers and the gory success of his YouTube channel. After all, what's a little darkness without a touch of macabre humor? As he glanced out the window, he noticed a strange flicker of movement. Turning around, he froze in a grip of terror. There she stood, Lenora, just as he had seen her a few hours before. Yet, a palpable shift hung in the air, a sinister alteration. The teasing and enticing grin that once danced on her lips had transformed into a grotesque parody. It had expanded beyond the boundaries of sanity, stretching across her spectral face with an unsettling power, reminding Edgar of the very clown she had breathed life into.
Lenora!
Edgar's voice trembled. The ghostly figure advanced, her eyes gleaming with a malevolent light.
You see, Edgar, a muse must be, compensated for her contributions.
A chill ran down his spine.
What do you mean?
Lenora's laughter echoed in the room, a chilling symphony of madness.
Oh, my dear Edgar, I've toiled as a diligent ghostwriter in your service, and now I shall take something in return.
Edgar's heart sprinted as he finally clued into how serious his situation was. The story had summoned more than just words. It had given life to the very essence of his creation.
No, this can't be happening.
He muttered, trembling as he backed away. But Lenora's spectral form continued to advance, her grin widening even further.
You, of all people, should know that ideas, when forged with raw emotion, can mold a reality more haunting than the most terrifying fiction.
As her ethereal hands reached out towards him, Edgar Blackwood's scream echoed through the night, swallowed by the darkness and the fiendish grin that had become all too real.